Thank you for joining us again on CoreTV News on the Hour. I am Frank Omalape. Members of the People's Democratic Party in the House of Representatives have described the ongoing move to impeach Jonathan as a joke, warning that it will be an exercise in futility. Members of the PDP caucus stated that no member of the ruling party will be part of the process. The PDP lawmakers insisted that Jonathan had not committed any impeachable offense since he became the president. On Thursday, about 113 members of the House, said to be members of the All Progressive Congress, allegedly signed a document seeking to remove Jonathan from office as president. The sponsors of the plot were said to have wanted to table a motion for Jonathan's impeachment on Thursday, using the opportunity of reconvening the House, which reportedly led to the massive deployment of security forces in the National Assembly and prevention of lawmakers from gaining entry. The lawmakers representing Asian Northeast and Asian Southeast in the House of Representatives under the PDP Friday Itula described the impeachment move against Jonathan as a journey futility. The Senate has ruled out recording any crises similar to the one that occurred at the House of Representatives on Thursday when it resumed plenary on Tuesday. Chairman Senate Committee on Information, Media and Public Affairs, Yinaya Abaribe, stated this while speaking to newsmen in Abuja. Abaribe says the Senate will discuss the invasion of the National Assembly by security operatives when it reconvenes on Tuesday. He says the Inspector General of Police has been invited to find out who gave the order for the punishment of federal lawmakers last Thursday. He also confirmed that the Senate will also have an interaction with service chiefs on the state of affairs in the Northeast. The All Progressive Congress has condemned Saturday's invasion of its office in Lagos by security agents, calling it perhaps the worst political scandal in Nigeria's history. In a statement on Saturday in Ijebu, Ogun State, by its National Publicity Secretary, Lai Mohammed, the party said the invasion can only be likened to the Watergate scandal that led to the resignation of U.S. President Richard Nixon in 1974. As a result of the June 17, 1972 break-in at the Democratic National Committee headquarters at the Watergate office complex in Washington, D.C., and the attempted cover-up of its involvement by the Republican Nixon administration. It therefore called for an independent inquiry to fish out those who ordered the needless and unprovoked attack on the offices of the APC and ensure that they face very serious consequences irrespective of their status. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Aminu Tambuwal, has said he is prepared to honor any invitation from the police. Speaking through his media aide, Imam, the Speaker, said in a statement that he enjoys no immunity, so he is willing to respond to any lawful invitation. He, however, expressed dismay at what he described as unprofessional conduct of the police in attempting to stop him from presiding over a special section he called an emergency rule. Tambuwal also lashed out at the police for claiming that he arrived at the National Assembly with a motley crowd. He insisted that he was at the complex with other federal legislators and expressed concern that lawmakers were described as a motley crowd in police statement. While the Inspector General of Police Sulaiman Abba has denied ordering the arrest of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Aminu Tambuwal, he, however, did not rule out the arrest of anyone found involved in what he described as an attack on police or disturbing public peace at the National Assembly. Police spokesman Emmanuel Ojukwu quotes the IG as saying that it is the responsibility of investigating police officers to determine who to invite for questioning or prosecution. The IG has meanwhile ordered an investigation into the death of a police inspector at a political rally in the Okeado area of Ibadan in Oyo State. He described the attack on the police personnel as unwarranted and reaffirmed his warning to politicians to desist from using thugs. While human rights activist and lawyer Femi Falana says reason given by the Inspector General of Police on the deployment of his men to lay siege on the National Assembly is unacceptable. He described the action of the police as contemptuous, illegal, criminal, and unwarranted, an attempt by the authorities to reduce Nigeria to a banana republic.
I have read the belated rejoinder of or explanation of the Inspector General of Police, which cannot be taken very seriously. He is saying that they got information, as usual, that hoodlums were going to take over the National Assembly. Since the hoodlums did not take over the National Assembly, the police decided to behave like the hoodlums by throwing tear gas at the Speaker and other members of the House of Representatives, including some senators who were seen in the vicinity. This is unacceptable. But you can be sure that what the government wanted to do was to install a minority leadership on the House. And you know, in Nigeria now, 16 is greater than 19 in the NGF. In Rivers, 5 is greater than 28. In those states, 5 is greater than 20. And in Ekiti, 7 is greater than 19. That is the new democratic situation in Nigeria.
A coalition of civil society groups would stop impunity Nigerian campaign is demanding the resignation of Inspector General of Police Sulaiman Abba over the recent police action at the National Assembly. This, according to the coalition, is because the policemen were out to prevent the House of Representatives from considering President Goodluck Jonathan's request for extension of emergency rule in Adamawa, Borno, and Yobe State. It argues in a statement signed by Bolaji Owasonoye that the police action not only dishonored the legislature, but also ridiculed Nigeria in the eyes of the international community. The coalition also dismissed the excuse of intelligence report given by the police, especially as the leadership of the National Assembly was not informed of the invasion. Former Vice President and presidential aspirant Atiku Abubakar is in Benin Kebbi in continuation of his campaign for the presidential ticket of the All Progressive Congress. He was welcomed on arrival by the APC chairman in Kebbi State, Tahiru Mashido, before holding a closed-door meeting with stakeholders at the party secretariat. The former vice president had been in Edo State before traveling to Benin Kebbi as part of a nationwide shuttle to meet delegates ahead of APC's December 10 presidential primary. You're still watching CoreTV News on the hour. We'll take a break shortly. We'll be back with more. Stay with us.
Welcome you to From the Ivory Tower. And happenings around the country, varsity teachers get to air their views. Students are actually not left out. We bring you intellectual ends from the events happening around you. It is dedicated to educating the populace with a spice of entertainment.
From the Ivory Tower, Tuesdays, only on CoreTV News.
Glad to have you back now for information and other programs. So you can visit our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/CoreTV News. And our Twitter handle at CoreTV News. You can also log on to youtube.com/CoreTV, leave a space, then news. The APC and the PDP have continued to bicker over the controversial impeachment of Adewale Omiri as the Speaker of the Ekiti State House of Assembly on Thursday. Rashi reports that the leaderships of the two parties in the state have been engaged in heated argument over the development. The report.
The war of words appear not over as the already frosty relationship between the Ekiti PDP and APC, particularly after the Ekiti State House of Assembly incident where PDP lawmakers sacked the Adewale Omiri-led House leadership, thickens. A former governor of the state and national vice chairman of APC, Segun Oni, described the drama as shameful, even as the Ekiti PDP chairman maintains the decision of the PDP lawmakers is sacred.
If the legislative arm can suffer that fate, this is madness that is infectious, not only contagious, it is infectious.
There is nothing illegal if somebody is doing something wrong constitutionally, that such person is removed. There's nothing illegal in that aspect. And I presume the former speakers at overstepped his bounds administratively and politically and constitutionally. So if he's removed, there's nothing bad in that.
Both parties also trade words on the intrigues surrounding the quorum.
If they say there are 10 people, what are the names of the other 3? We know everybody that was elected. If they brought people, brought mercenaries, it will tell you the extent to which these people can go.
I don't believe that they have not found quorum. What the constitutions, they follow the due process and they follow what the constitutions, what is stipulated in the constitution. So for somebody to have been removed and for him to kick back and start telling the whole world that the place is not constitutional, where was he when they were impeached?
There is no end in sight as both men appear spoiled for war.
They are not interested in decency. They are not interested in governance. These people are not decent at all. They are desperate. They are wicked.
For us and for Ekiti indigenous, for an average Ekiti man, we believe that the deed is done and is done in good faith and is recognized by government and for the people of Ekiti state.
And as parties on both sides of the divide continue to maintain their positions, political observers are of the view that government's responsibility to the people will ultimately suffer. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado Ekiti.
Despite the Ekiti House of Assembly saga, political activities in the state are moving on unhindered as political parties get ready for 2015 general elections. The APC and PDP secretariats are busy screening aspirants seeking slots at the National Assembly in 2015 and welcoming those submitting their interest firm. This, however, did not go without comments by politicians on both sides of the divide and political developments in the state and around Nigeria. Here again is our correspondent Rashid with the report.
Though here for their own political aspirations, the Ekiti House of Assembly row and the police attack on the National Assembly did not escape their attention.
It's not going to work if it thinks it can achieve whatever I want to achieve through backdoor. And this is an embarrassing act to the state. It's a disgraceful act to Ekiti people, and we are ashamed as a people that this is happening again in Ekiti state.
And the tide of that politically things are going in Nigeria is not favorable to PDP anymore because they failed us as a nation. A lot of things would have changed by the time we are having that election, I can assure you.
The APC aspirants of the firm believe that in spite of their present status as the opposition party, victory is sure for them in the 2015 general elections.
So I believe that APC has a fantastic chance in Ekiti and also a beautiful, excellent chance at the federal level.
I'm very confident that I will emerge in the forthcoming primaries. And outside of this, it is in the interest of the constituency to send me back there, having known the intricacies in the National Assembly, in the House of Rep.
But the Ekiti PDP leadership was quick to dismiss the APC's victory assurance and reiterates its readiness to deliver Ekiti for President Goodluck Jonathan and sweep all the National Assembly seats in the state.
On record that the screening exercise for the National Assembly contestants went successfully in Ekiti state.
And I assure the state, and I'm assuring the whole nation, we have nothing less than 90% of the next vote for Mr. President, and we will have all the House of Assembly, God being our helper, all the rep and Senate in Ekiti, we win for PDP.
There is a strong belief among all the aspirants that the development in the last 1 week in the state and at the national level will surely play a big impact on the quest and outcome of the 2015 general elections. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado Ekiti.
The Ekiti State Police Command said it has received intelligence report that group of people were planning to invade the state to disrupt the existing peace and cause breakdown of law and order. The alert is coming a few days after the embattled Speaker of Ekiti State House of Assembly Adewale Omiri and 18 other lawmakers of the All Progressive Congress promised to return to the state after its exile. The police commissioner, Taiwo Lakano, in a statement issued in Ado Ekiti on Saturday by the police public relations officer, Victor Babayemi, warned the politicians to refrain from taking laws into their hands and desist from the use of thugs to pursue their agenda. The police vow to use all means legally permitted to prevent breakdown of law and order in any part of the state and prosecute offenders. And while Omiri has asked the people to hold Fayose responsible for any breakdown of law and order in the state. And away from that now to the Ogun State chapter of the People's Democratic Party has said Governor Ibikunle Amosu's romance with former President Olusegun Obasanjo will not save him from being defeated at the poll in 2015. The state chairman of the party, Adebayo Dayo, stated that the ex-president would not work for the APC but PDP, where he is a founding father. Dayo stressed that leaders of the PDP in the state were resolving the issues in the party to gain the momentum enough to unseat the ruling APC. The state publicity secretary of the APC, Shola Lawal, however, says the relationship between the elder statesman and the governor is a family affair, positing that the PDP is myopic and backward with its definition of the relationship. As the 2015 general elections draw near and the various political parties put their house in order with election of candidates to represent them in the elections, the PDP in Ogun State, like other parties, face a battle to pick who will represent to actualize its aim of unseating Governor Ibikunle Amosu from Government House come 2015. Olajumoke Olatuji in this report looks at the challenges facing PDP in its quest for a suitable candidate to lead it to victory in the 2015 governorship election.
Ahead of the 2015 governorship election in Ogun State, the PDP seems to be in a flux over who will emerge as the stand-bearer to fulfill their Mosu Must Go agenda. The Ogun State chapter of the People's Democratic Party, which is under the control of Burji Kashamu, Benga Daniel, who recently returned to the fold, and Jubril Martins Kuye, a former Minister of Finance, has a plethora of aspirants in its fold. With less than 90 days to the general elections, Abiodun Akinlade, Gboyega Isiaka, Segun Adewale, Sharafa Ishola, Dimeji Bankole, Anthony Ojeshino, Yomi Majekodunmi, Yodun Likpede, Kayode Amusan, Remi Bakare, and Rafiu Ogunleye are the 11 contenders jostling for the party's ticket to face Governor Ibikunle Amosun.
For the 26th assembly seat, we have 108 people who have really been screened and been passed by the national headquarters of our party. 108 justing for 26 seats. In the House of Rep, we have 57 for the 9 House of Representative seats. 57 people are running after it. The Senate, we have 10 people running after the 3 seats in the Senate. For one governor, we have 11 people running after it. The turnout has been very massive. That's an expression of the confidence people have in the structure. People have been so they're investing very heavily on it.
The plan, according to some political observers in the state, is that the PDP is rooting for a Muslim candidate from Ogun Central with enough popularity to split the block votes from the senatorial districts where Amosun also hails from. But speculations are rife that the party may have adopted the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Dimeji Bankole, who also hails from Ogun Central. But how true is this?
That is not true and it's not even possible. When you have 11 big men running after one seat, how do you just adopt one like that? Our doors are open, the aspirants are free to meet among themselves, romance, and they try to find a way out. If they cannot do it within themselves, the guideline of the party is there, the constitution is there, the electorate is there. We follow those rules very, very strictly. Organize a free, fair primary that will be acceptable to all of them. Primaries is scheduled for the House of Assembly primary is scheduled for 29th, and then the Senate and the House of Rep for 6th, and it's a Rep for 6th, Senate for 7th, and the Governor for 10th.
However, there are indications that Burji Kashamu, who has just completed his campaign office in Ijebu-Igbo, will have a big say on who becomes the standard bearer of the PDP on the 10th of December.
There are regulations, there are rules. We have gone 50% through. For the selection of the gubernatorial flag bearer, we are supposed to have 3 delegates in each ward, which we already have now. Each of the wards has elected 3 delegates. All these 3 delegates will come together and decide who's the flag bearer. So it's about this. It's not a single person that can decide everything. So a good person can decide everything. It is about the regulations, the rules, the laws, and the things always halfway through. The delegate have been elected. 3 delegates per ward, they will come together and decide who the flag bearer is. So not about Kashamu or GMK or Buruji or Dibeji Bankole, it's about the people.
With the emergence of Buruji Kasham, Benga Daniel and others at the just concluded local government congresses held the 20 councillors in the state to represent their local governments at the December 6th National Convention of the party. The PDP seems gripped with fear over the resultant effect of its primaries or consensus arrangements. But overall, the people of Ogun State cannot wait to see who will eventually fly the party's ticket and battle it out to the incumbent governor come 2015 governorship election. Olajumoke Olatunji, CoreTV News, Abeokuta.
Inspector General of Police Sulaiman Abba has expressed concerns about recent reports of youth involvement in cult activities and surgery that left scores of people dead in some parts of the country. In a statement issued on his behalf, the RG says, as a parent, he is worried about the waste of young lives in unworthy exercise. But speaking as a police houseman, he warned that the full weight of the law will be applied on those he described as wayward and delinquent youth bent on fomenting trouble. Now, the Wealth Medical Association has called for more assistance in the fight against the Ebola virus disease in West African countries. The association noted that in spite of reports of global assistance in the fight against the scourge, little had been done by other countries, including Nigeria. Vice President of the Association for West Africa, Osaho Enabulele, says members of the association had alerted West African countries and the Commonwealth to the appropriate response to the EVD scourge in the affected countries. He urged countries that pledged their support to move from the realm of rhetoric to practical realization of their promises. Enabulele, who is also a former president of the Nigerian Medical Association, said the Commonwealth doctors had advocated for support by means of facilities and manpower. You're still watching CoreTV News on the hour. We take another break now. We'll be back shortly with more stories outside Nigeria. Stay with us.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
And outside Nigeria now, gunmen from the Somali militant group Al-Shabaab say they have attacked a bus in northern Kenya, killing 28 people. The bus was traveling to the capital, Nairobi, when it was stopped in Mandera County, not far from the Somali border. Witnesses said the gunmen separated out non-Muslims by asking passengers to read from the Quran. Those who failed were then shot in the head. Al-Shabaab has carried out a series of attacks in Kenya since 2011. A statement on a website linked to the Islamist group says the attack was carried out in realization, or rather retaliation, for security raids a mosque in the coastal city of Mombasa earlier this week. Kenya's Interior Ministry said on its Twitter feed that a camp belonging to the attackers had been destroyed by Kenyan military helicopters and jets, with many killed. One of the passengers on the bus said there were more than 60 passengers on board when it was attacked before dawn on Saturday. He added that the driver tried to accelerate away, but the vehicle became stuck in mud caused by recent heavy rains. Now, the World Health Organization says the Ebola outbreak is now stable in Guinea, where the latest crisis began. There were still some flare-ups in the southeast, but things were improving in other prefectures, according to WHO coordinator Gunella Rodio. More than 5,400 people have died in the latest outbreak, with Guinea, Sierra Leone, and Liberia the worst hit. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has said the outbreak can be ended by mid-2015 if the world speeds up its response. He also warned that although the rate of new cases was slowing in parts of West Africa and Mali, where 6 people have died and a 7th case has been reported, was now of deep concern. There had been more than 15,300 reported cases of Ebola since the outbreak began early this year. More than 1,200 people have died of Ebola in Guinea alone. Well, and this is a wrap on CoreTV News at this time. Many thanks for watching. I am Frank Omalape. I'll see you again.